So, you might be wondering, where I've been? Because it's been a while. Well, here's the funny thing. I waited 3 years. I've been perfectly fine. We went to California on vacation. And then, guess what? I got COVID. So that's where I've been. How have you been? I know it's been a little bit since I posted on this channel, but I got a new video today. I'm doing a tier rank of NFL uniforms. I haven't worn this in a very long time. Let's get into the video. Tier list time, baby. So I'm gonna be putting all of the NFL uniforms, home and away varieties, in this tier list. I'm breaking it up into home and away because there's a lot of differences in how I view the uniforms, and generally the away uniforms are probably a little bit better. I'm going to start with the Arizona Cardinals home. They're new ones. They haven't actually worn them for a game yet. They are atrocious. I've talked about this before, but they don't have any stripes anywhere on the uniform. There's no shoulder stripes. There's no pant stripes. It's awful. It's gross. It's going in tier E. It might be the worst uniform in the NFL right at the moment. It's very bad. Now, the away uniforms are slightly different. They are better. They're not great, don't get me wrong, because they're basically just Ohio State. But they do have some stripes, like on the shoulder pad right here. It's a silver stripe and then red for the outline. It says Cardinals. The actual outline of the number looks alright. This is okay. Again, it's just Ohio State because it's silver and red, but it's better than this one. It's not fantastic. It's not super original, so I am going to put it in the D category. Now here we got the Atlanta home uniforms that are relatively new. They got it at the very end of Matt Ryan, and now they have Desmond Ridder, obviously. It's not my favorite look in the league at all. It's a very matte. It's very all black. These stripes, it always looks very weird next to like a classic uniform. It's not a bad design, but I don't love it. I don't love the helmet. I'm gonna put it in the same category as those Arizona Cardinals. I'm gonna put it in D. Now, for some of the teams, it's kind of hard to figure out which one they consider their actual official away and which one isn't, because they change out their pants a lot. The home ones, they don't do this quite as much. There are a couple of examples, but mostly it's the away uniforms that are the hardest to tell which one is actually their official away. What I've done is gone through when they announced them what it was, and then also in the previous NFL season, how often did they wear each variant of them to get a general idea of which one's the official away. Because this one has like a black pants variant that I actually like slightly more. The all-white look is alright. It's not bad, but I'm going to put it in the same category. I'm putting it in D. Now you got the Baltimore Ravens homes uniforms. Now they haven't really changed these a whole lot since they've been introduced into the league. I really like them. They're not like a stalwart NFL uniform. It's not like I could imagine the NFL without these, but they are still a very solid uniform, and I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it in the A tier. Now the Baltimore away uniforms, I have much more to say. The stripes, there's a purple stripe on the pants of the home uniform that really help it stand out, because there aren't any shoulder stripes on the way that they've designed it, because that has like the shield on the side, which is fine. But here they have a B on their pants on both sides, and because of that, especially with like a lot of the slimmer players, especially like kicker Justin Tucker, and because of how small the pads are nowadays, it kind of looks like they're wearing yoga pants, and I can't unsee it every time I watch them. For this reason alone, it's going in C category. I don't hate it. It's not as bad as some of those other ones, but it's just not my favorite. I wish they would just put some stripe on it, put a purple stripe, put a white stripe, I don't know, something, and it would be better. Their purple pant variant is slightly better. It's not great, but it is slightly better. There you go in the Buffalo home uniforms here. They're very clean. Now, there's a big difference between the ones with the white pants and the ones with the blue pants. The ones with the blue pants, there's too much blue. I don't really dig that one as much. But this one, I really like. I'm going to put it in A tier along with the Baltimore Ravens, because they're very similar style uniforms, kind of. They have the classic shoulder stripes, they have the classic pant stripes. I really like it. It's solid. I wouldn't call it S tier, but it is a very good uniform. Now, I have some thoughts about this Buffalo away uniform, because I really like this variant of it. The blue pants, you got red and white stripes. It is a classic uniform. However, they don't wear it enough, because a lot of the times, even in playoff games, they've worn white and white. And because they changed their helmet shell to also being white, they look like a stormtrooper when they have the white pants, because it's just way too much white. There's not enough color in it, and especially with the white shell, it really throws it off. If you would have kept it red or like blue or something with the white pants, it wouldn't be quite so much white. But because it's so much white, and because they don't wear these enough, even though I really like the design of the uniform, I'm going to put it in the B category. If they would wear it more often, it would go to A. But at the moment, I can't really put it up to A because they don't wear it enough. Alright, so here are the Carolina Panthers home uniforms. They haven't really changed these a whole lot either since they've been introduced. They're a solid enough uniform. I don't hate them. I generally like it. I like the blue top one as well. I like it when they have different colored pants, so this one being white and or silver, however they have really decided to over the years. Overall, pretty solid uniform. I'm going to put it in the B tier. It's not my favorite. I don't consider it like an NFL classic, but I would be hard pressed to change it, so it's going in B. Now, Carolina's away is another thing where like they change it a lot. Sometimes it has black pants, sometimes it has white pants, sometimes it has silver pants. These ones are the white variety, which has been more so what they've been wearing of recently. I do like the uniform. I'm going to put it in C tier just because, well, no, I'm going to put it in B tier. Again, it is hard to really do more than this without feeling over-designed. The white and white I actually kind of prefer for Carolina because the silver ones look a little weird. I'm going to put it in the B category right next to their home uniforms. Okay, so we got the Chicago home uniforms. Now, these are absolute classics. They got the stripes. They got everything. I really would never change these. I'd never touch them. I enjoy the orange tops that they had for a little bit with Jay Cutler. I don't hate those ones. I don't mind the alternates they have nowadays. But these are always going to be my favorite. And because of how classic they are, they're going up in S tier. They're the first S tier representative. There's going to be a couple up here. And they're all based on NFL classic designs that you should never touch. And this is one of them that, if they were to ever change it, I would be devastated. Now, the Chicago away uniforms, I actually slightly prefer to the home. I think the white is very clean up at the top. I really like the pants. They do have an all-white alternate that I don't like as much, but they haven't worn it in quite a while. This is what they've been wearing mostly, and I really like it. It's, again, going up in S tier. I would never touch this uniform if you were to ever do a redesign. And it's going right next to the home uniforms up in S tier. Now, Cincinnati just got a redesign a couple years ago right before their Super Bowl, which is good because they needed it. But it's another one of those where like they've used a lot of different combinations of, sometimes they have orange pants with this uniform, sometimes they have black pants, sometimes they have white. Their white, I'm considering the official because not only did they wear it more last year with the white pants, but they also wore this exact uniform in the Super Bowl. And I'm going to take that as this is their best home uniform. I do like it. I think that I like the stripes, but the pants are all right. There could be a little bit more, striping up here, or maybe just like, not necessarily more, but like maybe a different shape would maybe bump it up a little bit. It's still a very solid uniform. I'm gonna put it in B tier though. It's not one, it's also so new that I don't think it's like one that I would be like, I could never see this changing. But I wouldn't want it to change just for the sake of change. It is an alright uniform. Now, these away ones, there's also, again, it's the same thing. They've worn orange, they've worn white. The all-white ones, I think, are alright, but I think it loses a lot of the identity of being the Bengals because they've gone away from using orange, and I don't like that because they are overly black and white nowadays. They very rarely wear orange. I really like the orange top that they have. That's one of my favorite uniforms that they have, but they just don't wear it a lot. This, again, the all-white one might technically be considered their away. They wore this combination more last year, so I'm picking this as the representative. It's an all right uniform. It's not something that I would really love to see changed. My biggest gripe is really up at the top here. Without the Bengals there and without the little outline on the 9 or on any of the, the numbers, there's not a lot of orange there because they decided black stripes and a little orange Nike check. It's okay. It's all right. I'm going to put it in the C category though, because I think like it could be better. And I think the home ones just represent the Bengals a little more. If you just saw like just the top of the jersey out in the wild, I wouldn't immediately be able to recognize it as the Bengals without reading the name and without the shoulder stripes, like the 3 ones. But they're black. They don't really scream Cincinnati to me. The orange ones are better, and I wish I would have kept with those. Now the Cleveland home uniforms, they're interesting because they're a stalwart of the NFL. They've been very similar for a very long time, and they changed in, I think, 2014, somewhere around there, 2013, maybe when Nike took over, and they were gross. They were hideous. And then they went back to this design. Because they changed it and because they're still relatively new, I'm putting them in A tier. They also haven't really, a lot of the legacy of these uniforms, they look good, obviously, but it's also the legacy behind them. The Bears are such a stalwart of the NFL. It's very hard to imagine them without them. That's why I put them in the S tier. Even though they haven't really won much of recent, they do have a Super Bowl, 1985. They do, they're very, very, they dominated the NFL in the early days before the merger. The Browns, despite how good this uniform looks, have never really been a big winner. And because of that, it's you associate the uniform with losing, even though the uniform looks good. And the same with this one. Now, they've used white, they've used orange, they used orange quite a bit. They also have an all brown one, which is disgusting, by the way. That would go in E if it was on this, but I'm not doing alternates because that would make the list too long. This one I'm putting right next to their home uniforms in the A category. They're very similar. They're similarly designed. I like both of them. They're classic ones. They should have never changed them. If they wouldn't have changed them, they might have been bumped up to S tier, but because they did, they're bumped to A. Now, the Dallas Cowboy home ones is a funny situation because how classic they are. They wear white at home, which is relatively unique in the NFL. Other teams have done it occasionally, but it's like their official home is white. They almost never wear the colored ones at home. But I don't like these because you got a different color's blue on the stripe that almost looks darker than the ones down here. It's outlined in black, at least like modernly, and it looks really weird because there's no other black on the entire uniform. These colored pants, I hate them. They don't fit anything else on the uniform. It's really only classic because they've never changed it, at least very rarely. But like if you look at it objectively, it is just not a very well designed uniform. But because of how classic it is, I am gonna put it in the B tier because they haven't changed it a whole lot, and it is hard to deny the classicness of this uniform. But like if I'm doing it just purely based on looks, it might be in the C tier. But you know what? I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Actually, I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I just don't like it enough. You gotta be better for me. Now, the Dallas away uniforms, I actually quite like them. I wish they would wear them more. They very, very rarely do. But when they do, I mean, they always look nice. I'm gonna put it in B tier. That's probably the biggest reason I moved that down, because I don't want to put this any lower than C because of how classic it is. But these uniforms are just objectively better, and I don't really want to put the Dallas Cowboys in A. So they're gonna go. They're going to go in the B category. Yeah, the Denver Broncos here, who are a very classic uniform. They've changed it quite a bit. They had like the classic one with John Elway and the D on the helmet, and then they changed in 1997, I believe, and they got the new uniforms, and then they won a Super Bowl, so that immediately became like a classic uniform. No, they're kind of outdated with their design on the stripe and the piping. The home variety ones are the best ones. All of their home ones. They have an all blue one that they used to wear with John Elway and Tim Tebow, and they had like a blue one with white pants that looked all right, and they have an orange one with white pants that looks all right. And they've used this as their home, as their default home for a couple years now, because orange is, Denver Broncos. They've historically been orange and not blue, so I understand it. I kind of prefer the blue a little bit more, but of this uniform, this one's going to go in the B category. It is a very good-looking uniform, even though it is a little bit past due in its design, but it's fine. Now, the pants on the away ones are really going to hurt Denver, because they're white. It's an all-white uniform. Now, they've worn variants of it where it is blue, especially recently, and it looks really weird because the piping on the blue pants are orange, but this is still blue, the underneath part on this, so it's like blue, 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 orange, and it does not look good. That one is hideous. And the all-white ones, while they were represented in a Super Bowl before, so they do have a little bit of history. Actually, I think they were in 2 different Super Bowls. I just don't like the all-white here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this specific one, I don't really think it does. And I'm going to put it in the D tier. I'm going to put it in the C tier. It's about the same as the Cowboys. I'm going to put it in the C. It's not bad necessarily, but I would like to see a little bit more coloration. And if you're gonna do the blue pants, which I think would probably look fine, you just have to change the piping on the top half of the uniform to make it orange instead of blue, and then it would honestly be a better uniform. It might be right next to their home ones, but right now, as it stands, it's just too boring, and it's gonna go and see. My home team, the Detroit Lions, is an interesting case because actually at the beginning of this video, I wore a Kelvin Johnson jersey from the 2009 era, where they were not even 2009. They had it before 2009. I think it was like 2000 something that they changed. But I really like this one. It is the one that I wore at the beginning. It has black on it, which is a little bit of a difference in design from classic Lions, but it was just used for outlining stuff, and it was, it had a very classic design on the shoulders. It was a very nice looking uniform. This one is more classic Lions. It's silver, it's gray, it stands out. What I don't like about it is the stripes. That's too over designed. There's like a thin stripe and then like another thin stripe of gray, and then there's like a thick blue one, and it's just a little bit over. It's a little bit too busy. Same with the shoulder stripes, which matches the helmet, which I don't like. But the biggest reason why I don't like these uniforms as much as I could is the font of the numbers. It's very NASCAR-y. It just doesn't really scream Lions. It just screams like I'm gonna race a car, which isn't fantastic. And really, because of that, it's going in the C category. Now, if this was the Barry Sanders era Lions, they're going up in B or A for me personally. But because of how much they've changed over the years, and because of the NASCAR design of the new one, it's going in the C category. But this is where it comes back a little bit to save, because the Lions, while they have had blue pants in the past, it's not very often that they do. A lot of times it is silver. Very rarely is it white. That is kind of a newer thing. I don't mind the all-white one in the Lions case specifically, although I would prefer a blue helmet in that case, which they do have a new one that is coming out this year, but not for that specific uniform combination. This one, I really like the blue pants. I still had the problem with the numbers, and the stripes are still the same. But the blue pants for me, especially after the era of the Matthew Stafford ones, where it was constantly like a silverish color, instead of being like the gray, and then it was like white on top, which is never really my favorite combination. Because of the blue pants, I'm going to put it in the B category. I think it's better than the home ones. I generally like them a little bit more. I kind of wish they would wear them more, because sometimes they wear all white, sometimes they still wear the the Silver Pants, and the Silver Pants are just way worse than these ones. It would be right next to them in C, maybe even D. Green Bay Packer home uniforms. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. It's going in the S tier. They haven't changed it hardly ever. It is a fantastic uniform. If they ever did touch it, I would be sad. Never touched this one. It's good. Their alternates have always been a little weird, but same with the S tier, by the way. Or, I'm sorry, with the away uniforms. They're also going in S tier. Now, here we got the Houston Texans, who have really struggled with identity ever since they came into the league, because they're not the Oilers. Because they can't be the Oilers. Because the Tennessee Titans owner, at least their old owner, is very petty. The Texans have had very similar uniforms for their entire existence, and they're not bad designed, but they don't really scream any kind of character. They've had blue pants in the past, but they don't wear it super often. These ones, for me, are going in C. They're not bad. It's just they don't have much of a personality for me to attach to. Now, these away ones I think are actually a little bit better. Classic NFL with the striping on the pants. They have had an all-white one before, which I don't really care for. These ones are a better uniform than the home ones, which is why I'm going to put it in the B category. It is better than the home ones. I do kind of prefer them. Yeah, it's just overall, I think, a better looking uniform. And it gives a little bit more character to the Texans than the home ones do. Indianapolis Colts are another one that, like, I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time on. They have, like, never changed ever in their entire history, and I like that. It is. They do have a new one that's coming out that's a little weird. That's an alternate for this year, but this one specifically, it's a classic. You got Peyton Manning, you got Johnny Unitas, you got legends of the game that have worn this uniform. It's a very clean looking uniform. There's very little I would do to change it, if anything. Now they've messed with the numbers a little bit in recent years. They've kind of like changed the font, but it still looks pretty nice. The away ones are worse. I really want to see blue pants. They've very rarely done that throughout their history, and I don't know why they're obsessed with the all-white, because it doesn't look fantastic. These ones, if I'm going based purely off design, I'm putting it in B tier, because they're not bad necessarily. They're just they kind of lack character. If I'm influenced by how classic they are, they might sneak their way up into A, but as of right now, they're going in B. The blue pants would make it go to A for me. The Jaguars home uniforms they got recently, they've changed it because it was like black when they did this redesign in like 2019, and then they had this as like an alternate, but then everyone liked this more because it's more classic Jaguars, and then they changed it to this. It has a similar problem to this Cardinals uniform where it doesn't have a lot of striping on it. It has the neck guard up here that first came into the NFL like a horse collar when Nike took over the uniforms back in 2012, and there was a lot of them that had like a weird horse collar on it, and they faded it out eventually because people didn't like it, but for some reason it stuck around in this Jaguars uniform. I think overall it's pretty clean. I do kind of like the black stripe there, but because it doesn't have a lot of character, and especially the pants have no striping at all, really knocks it down a peg. I'm putting it in the C category. I don't think it looks bad necessarily, but really the pants hold it back from being a better uniform, which is where the away uniforms completely fail. They're very similar to the Ravens where it's like yoga pants, and up top, they kept the black stripe, which really just makes this a black and white uniform, and those are never my favorite. I'm putting this in the D tier. It's too simplistic for its own good for these ones, and which is a shame because I think Jacksonville, you could do some cool designs with it. They just haven't. Kansas City home. I'm doing the same thing I did with the Packers. It's really not worth spending a whole lot of time on. They have very rarely touched this uniform, and they have a lot of history with it. You have the modern Chiefs that are fantastic, and you have, Len Dawson era Chiefs that won Super Bowl IV, and they're pretty much the same they've been since the AFL, minus like the the helmet wasn't the Chiefs logo. It was like a Texans thing because they used to be the Dallas Texans. But other than that, I mean, it is a very classic uniform, and I would do very little to touch it. Same with these away uniforms. I actually think I like the aways a little bit more, but they're going in the same category. They're both S tiers. If the NFL ever redesigned them, I think that would be a mistake because I really don't think you can improve upon these too much. The Raiders, a very classic uniform, very similar to the Chiefs where they have like not touched them really at all. They do have some alternates that are not quite as good, but these ones, they're NFL classics. Again, if they ever redesigned them, it would be a mistake. That's why they're going up in S tier. They're just a very good-looking uniform. Now, these away ones, I'm knocking some points because it's white and silver, and I know that it's been there forever, and I know that's their color scheme is black and silver. But honestly, I think either making the bottom white or making the top a little more silver might honestly make it look like really badass. At the moment, though, because it is still an NFL Classic uniform, I'm going to put it in A tier. I wouldn't really, I would have a little bit of a slight adjustments, but it is a very good uniform. And if they ever completely overhauled them, I would way rather have the away one be changed than the home one. That's why this one's going in A tier, but it's still a very solid uniform. Then we got the Chargers new uniforms that they got recently. Now they've had a lot of different they've worn yellow pants with them. They've worn blue pants with them. They have a darker top, but this is their default home. And I prefer the one with the yellow pants. If they would have had the yellow pants ones here, it might have been, maybe even approaching S territory, which is I would never touch these again. They're the cleanest new uniforms in the NFL by far. I really like the general character of these ones. That being said, it's really a toss-up between B and A. And I'm going to put these ones in A. But that's because the away uniforms, I think, are going to get knocked down a peg. And that is for the reason of the pants. Now, they have a version of the uniform that has yellow pants. And I don't know why they don't wear that one more, because I think it looks better. These ones are, they're clean looking, yes. And I do kind of like the lightning bolt that is down the pants, but I wish it was a little bit bigger. And because it's not bigger, and because these shoulder lightning bolts are a little too small, it's going in the B category. It is still a very well done uniform, especially by modern Nike standards of this stupid Cardinals one. It is still a nice looking uniform, but it's not as good as the home one. Now we got this Rams uniform here, and I'm starting with the away ones because they are more recent. They were actually originally an alternative uniform that was announced alongside their bone ones that they had for the 2021 season, and it ended up being such a successful uniform that they petitioned the NFL to allow them to wear it in the Super Bowl, because usually alternative uniforms are not allowed in Super Bowls. It has to be either in a version of your home uniform or a version of your away, which their official away color was bone, and they didn't want to wear that in the Super Bowl because it looked gross. This uniform is one of my favorite modern NFL uniforms. Now, you can nitpick about the helmets being like the banana peels and whatnot, and I'm kind of on board with you. I wish it was just kind of like a full ram horn, but I've gotten used to it as the years go by, and it's a very clean uniform with the white and the yellow. It is a very classic NFL one. I'm going to put this one in A tier. Now, when you're dealing with these home uniforms, they're not bad, but they remind me a little too much of IKEA. And it's just the color choice of the blue that they had, plus the patch that says Los Angeles Rams. I believe these ones still have it, but because it's such a classic design, it's fine. These ones are not my favorite. They're not bad, necessarily, but they're going in the B category. And we got the Dolphins. The Dolphins uniforms are, they've changed a lot of recent, and they kind of redesigned them from the classic Dan Marino ones, and even the less classic but still maintaining the spirit of the ones where they had with Chad Henne and like in the 2000s. These ones are the least characteristic ones for the Dolphins. They don't look bad. I'm going to put them right next to the Rams up here. They're very similar uniforms to me, where like they feel a little too corporate. They still have like the overall feel of the team, but it just doesn't have the same oomph that they used to. The away ones are slightly worse, in my opinion. They don't have. I mean, they have some stripes, but it doesn't have like it's not super characteristic. It's white and white, which is okay sometimes, okay not sometimes. But for me personally, these ones are going in the C category, which is like right by the Jaguars, which honestly these two uniforms remind me a lot of each other, where they just don't have, like with the Dolphins, there should be more character there. Minnesota Viking home uniforms are interesting because they're similar to the ones that they've had in the past, but they're not quite the same. And the thing that knocks this one down for me for potentially being an A category uniform is that the numbers here, the fonts, are two different fonts. And it's most noticeable when you have somebody with like a 22 or like, 99 or something that has like the same number. Because the one is a little bit more angled. It has a little bit more gothic features to it on the left side. But on the right side, they don't. It's a cleaner shape. And I don't know why the hell you would do that. It's a very weird decision. And because of that weird decision, it's going in the B category. It could have been an A if they would have just fixed the numbers, but they never have. And it's just always thrown me off. The away ones I do like slightly more than the home ones. They do still have the same problem of like the numbers being different. And because of that, I just can't put it up to the A. If they had like similar numbers, it would be an A, but right now it's stuck in B. New England's modern home uniforms. They got a makeover right after Tom Brady left in 2020, and they had these as like their color rush alternate. Remember when those were a thing? But these ones I've always disliked. I don't really mind the shoulder stripes. I think those are okay, but the pants are boring because they never changed them. They've changed them once since 2020. That is now 3 years ago. And they have one different pant, and they only wore it one time in a game versus in a Monday night game. That one where Mac Jones got replaced by Bailey Zappi. But these blue pants have been around, haunting the team for forever, and it is a very monochrome, very little personality in these ones. And they're going in the D category. And you can see what I mean right here. I actually like these shoulder stripes slightly less because the blue doesn't really stand out as being blue here. It's very dark, especially right next to the red, and it's the same pants. Now, I actually don't mind the white and blue. I think that's fine because they did that before. But get a different combination. There's a silver one that they wore for one game where it was blue and silver, and that one was a breath of fresh air for this organization. But because of the shoulder stripes just being generally worse than these ones, the pants are. I do like the white and the white and blue, but the shoulder stripes are definitely worse. But it's gonna go in the same category as the home variety. The home one might even bump up a little bit if they just would wear the other, pants a little bit more. Or even have white pants would be lovely, but they just haven't done that, and it's kind of gross. I am very sad about the Saints because they have some nearly S tier uniforms with the gold pants, especially the away variety where it's white and gold, that they never wear anymore. They wore that in their Super Bowl in 2009, and for some reason, there's like this weird thing around the Saints where they will not wear gold, and that is their color. If you don't wear gold, they're like, a lot of the times, they're either all black or all white now. And it's like, that is not the Saints. And because of how frustrated I am with the fact that they don't wear gold very often, this one's going in C. Because I mean, I don't mind the all black. It looks all right, and it is still the Saints, but it's not the best uniform. Now the away variety, I'm punishing. They've wore this all white stupid thing for forever, and like Wear the black pants. Wear the gold pants. Either one would look better than all white. All white does not fit the Saints. It's going in D. Because it pissed me off. Just wear your freaking gold pants. Now, the New York Giants home ones are decent. They're not bad. They haven't changed them a whole lot, so you could argue they're in the B category, which is exactly where I'm going to put them. The B category is getting a little bit filled up in terms of spacing here. But yeah, they're going in B. They're not bad uniforms. They're just not my favorite. Now, these ones are gross. Not gross necessarily, but more so they have some really clean ones that are white and white with the old Giants logo that's like spelled out on the helmet that I really, really like. And they wore them quite a bit this year, but it's not their official away. This is. And because of how much of a difference there is between those uniforms, this one is stuck in C category. I might even push it to D on some days because it's just not my favorite version of this away. Hell, it's not even the best version of the white and silver away because they had one with Michael Strahan in the early 2000s that had a little bit more character. This one has just always been very boring. Now, the New York Jets home ones are very divisive because these ones people seem to hate for some reason. And I don't really know why. It's been a thing for a while that people are like, these Jets uniforms are bad. And I actually really like them. I like them more than they're like Joe Namath era ones, because the Joe and Namath era ones are designed in a very weird way where it's almost over designed. These ones are very clean. I really like the brighter green, which a lot of NFL teams, especially, well, in the 2000s, there was this general like, let's make everything darker. And I don't generally like that. I like the brighter uniforms. I like when there's more color, and these ones definitely have more color, and I kind of like the design. That's why they're going in the B category, which seems to be a theme. The Jets official away uniforms are weird because they have a white and green one, which I think should be their color scheme. They have a white and black one that they wore so often last year because they won one game with black and white, and then white and black, and then their owner was like, "I really like the black, and we won with them, so we're gonna keep them." And it's kind of gross. This one kind of just is this problem of like it doesn't have a lot of character because it's all white. It's all right. It's just not my favorite. They should wear green pants more often because, you know, their color is goddamn green. So it's going to go in the C category. The Philadelphia Eagles home uniforms. I like them. I kind of like the Chip Kelly greens or the classic green of like the Randall Cunningham one more, because this is like prime example of making the team darker just for the sake of making them darker. However, it is still a pretty solid uniform. That if they were to change it into something that had a little bit less character, I wouldn't like. So because of that reason, and because all of them are going in B category, I'm going to put it in the B category. Now, the away ones, I really like this design, but they just don't wear it enough. They wear the white and white way too often, and at least they don't have a white helmet where it's like the same problem with the Bills. But these ones, I do really like them. I would even put them in A if they just wore them all the time. But they don't. And because they don't, they're going in B. I'm not even gonna bother explaining why this one is going in S category. If you don't know why this is an S, then I don't really think you're a football fan. These ones are, when I think of NFL uniforms, the Steelers are like one of, if not the first team I think of as like, this is how you do an NFL uniform. So, of course, they're going in S. San Francisco is very classic because of how much winning they've done in these with Joe Montana and everything. They did change them around quite a bit, and that's why they're not S tier. If they would have just kept these for, you know, ever since like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2011s, or 2020s, sorry. I think they went back to this design around 2011. But they muddied it so much with a lot of the changes they did, and going back to it, while it is still a classic uniform, it just lost some of its luster that it could have had with being like an all-time classic to being one that just looks nice, but you never know when they're going to change it again. I actually like the away one slightly more because On the home ones, there's white stripes on the shoulders, which is odd because none of the rest of the uniform outside of the numbers have white in it. And this one, it's red. It feels more 49er-y to me because it's red and gold. But it is not better. It's not like a tier above. It's just a little bit better than their homes. But that's why it's going an A. The Seattle Seahawks uniforms are Nike designs that people were really mixed on when they first came out. A lot of people were like, whoa, I don't like those. And then, like, they won a Super Bowl. And then they were in another one, and they were such a good team that all of a sudden people were like, these uniforms are actually really good. No, they're not. I don't like them. I don't like the monochrome. They have, like, had white pants. They've had silver pants. They've had just different variants of pant color, but it's never been one that I've, like, one of my favorites. It feels kind of militaristic with how many, like, lines are all over the place, and it's just not my favorite design. It's gonna go in the C category. Is it better than the Matt Hasselbeck era ones? Sure, but it's not better than, like, the Jim Zorn and, like, the 1990s Seahawks, which they recently are gonna bring back that uniform as, like, their new alternate, and that's why this one is going in C, because I wish that would just be their, like, normal home. Speaking of the away I think looks slightly better, but again, they've changed the pants so often. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's silver, sometimes it's green, and it's like they should just pick one and have it be their I like mixing it up to an extent. But when you mix it up too much, you don't really have an identity. You don't connect with some of the uniforms. And this is one where I had to look up, all right, how often do they actually wear this combination? It is a solid combination, but it is just not better than their homes enough to make it a category jump, so it's also going in C. The Tampa Bay home uniforms are very clean. I really like these ones. The creamsicle ones are classic, but if you're looking at it from design wise, it's not very good. These ones, they won 2 different Super Bowls in with this, you know, the early 2000s with John Gruden, and then obviously they brought them back when they got Tom Brady. They are a very good looking uniform, and they're going in the A category. Now the away ones, the pewter ones is what I put on this list because that is their official away. These ones look very clean, very nice. Their white ones are a little bit too, they don't have enough character for me. And their all pewter ones are kind of gross. But these ones, the white and pewter, it's going in the same category as their home ones. They're a classic couple. The Tennessee Titans, their away ones are actually part of why this video is broken up into home and away. While I do not like whatever the hell this design is on the pants, where it's like just a little bit of a stripe and then it suddenly stops and they have like the same Baltimore thing with their logo. This uniform, white and dark blue specifically, is the best looking uniform that the Titans have had since they rebranded, and I'm going to put it in B because it is a good looking uniform. Now their home ones are not only all over the place in terms of what they actually use for their home, because they use like this really gross lighter blue and dark blue a lot, like the combination, which isn't actually like a bad color combination. The problem is they, for some reason, instead of just like light blue and white numbers, they made it like the dark blue numbers here, but then they outlined it in white, so it looks really awkward and weird. And then this is too monochrome for me. I don't really like the little thing underneath the shoulder. These ones are going in the D category, which is funny because of how like different these two uniforms are in terms of where they are in this tier list. Now the Washington Commanders away uniforms are something that grew on me because when they first announced it, they announced everything in monochrome colors. They announced it all like this burgundy red, all white, and all black. And I was like, oh, cool, so we're not going to have any color combinations, which is the same thing that the Cardinals did, by the way, which gives me some hope that they're going to use white and red instead of all white all the time. But the stripes don't match on those because, like, the home ones don't have the same designed stripes on the pants. Because of that, it's weird that they might mix and match it because it's like, well, then you're not going to have the same stripes. On this one, it's a similar-ish problem, but because the burgundy I don't think has any stripes on it, but I kind of like the top, honestly. I like the little dots that are all over the numbers and like the shoulders. They're not a classic uniform. There's definitely one that I could see growth in changing. So I'm going to put it in the C category, but I don't think it looks that bad. I think it looks better than their home variety one, which is the last uniform we're looking at today, which looks like this. And their homes, they're not bad. They kind of grew on me. The white pants is what really saves this, because if it was the burgundy ones, they're going in D all the way, maybe even E. But because they used white quite a bit, now yes, there isn't striping, which I usually knock, but I really like this. I think it looks clean enough. It's a fresh look. Now the commander and like the lines that are like lining the commander word is not my favorite, but again, it's not one where I'd say change this immediately, but it's one where I just have like a little bit of tweaks to, and then I think it would look kind of good, which is why it's going in the same category as the aways in the C. And that is the tier list. We have officially made it through all 32 teams' official home and away uniforms, and this is the final tier list. If you're looking at it, if you want me to blow it up a little bit so you can see some of it a little bit better, the Cardinals are the only one that have made it into the E category because their home uniforms, their new ones at least, are so gross that I don't know why you would ever want to wear those. They're just red bodysuits. The D category involves the new Cardinals, the Falcons, and, you know, I'm not going to go through over everything again because, I mean, we just did, but this is the overall list. Comment down below what you think I am extremely wrong about. I'm sure there are some that you could nitpick that are a little bit higher than they should be. You could maybe even say that with the Commanders may be in the D category, and I might actually agree with you, but I think that if you just tweaked it a little bit, it would make it a little bit better of a uniform. These kind of need massive overhauls to be considered like good. This is just throw it away and start again. The C's, it's all just a little bit of tweaks that would make it better. The B's are tweaking might make it better, but it also might make it worse. A's are don't touch it, it's good the way it is, but it's just not classic enough to be considered an NFL like staple. And then S tier is never ever redesign this. It is NFL perfection, and if you ever touched even a little bit of it, you would be wrong. And that's the official tier list. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.